Good evening, welcome to the Fire Burns Within channel. Yeah, it's late Sunday night, listening to Gravedigger, the brand new album, Fields of Blood. I think it's the last one in the Scottish trilogy. Yeah, I thought I'd do this little video. I wasn't planning on it, but just milking my collection for all it's worth. Every last drop. 25 most underrated albums in my collection, physical CD collection. I reckon these 25 albums are worthy of more attention, more favour amongst metal and rock fans. They're all kinds of different styles. All the ones that I like, not much in the way of death metal or thrash that I've considered underrated, but one or two famous ones, mostly non-famous, well known if you're into hard rock melodic metal bands, but in general smaller bands. Some of them very, niche bands that deserve a little bit more attention, and I've picked out specific albums from them that are best represented by them, if you like. Anyway, this is in no particular order. I've just gone through my alphabet, my collection A to Z, and I've picked out 25 albums which I want to mention. I'm not going to show them again, I've shown them before. Just know that I've got these and I've shown them in the video collection, the collection videos that I did earlier on. Anyway, let's stop talking, let's just jump into it, let's not make this video too long. The first one is Astral Doors, Requiem of Time. I think Astral Doors is a really underrated band. They definitely need more fans. They're an awesome album, awesome band, and this album in particular is very awesome. Requiem of Time. It's quite a bit older now. It's sort of like earlier on in their career, second or third album. I can't remember which. And they've been churning them out fairly regular basis since. They're always solid, and I think they deserve more attention. So check out Astral Doors if you haven't. If you like Dio-like metal or something like that. The second album I've listed is a cult band, Broker's Helm, Defender of the Crown. This is very hard to find. And Broker's Helm is pretty much, I think they're pretty much defunct now. I haven't heard anything from them for ages, but this album is so much fun. It's sort of like, it's nothing like this. I mean, the type of vocals, it's sort of like a very cult version of Iron Maiden, if you like, but with their own style as well. Much of their own style as well. The Maiden influence mainly comes from the awesome bass playing in the band. Very upfront bass production. Third album from the 25 underrated list is Creed's Full Circle. This was the comeback album with Scott Stapp. Creed had split up, and the rest of the guys formed Alter Bridge, and Scott Stapp was doing solos. I mean, I don't like Creed much at all. Even the early stuff, I didn't really like Creed. But this album, the comeback with Scott Stapp, was awesome. I mean, I love this album. I think it's really underrated. In the Creed catalogue, I'd put this, considering I don't like the early stuff, I'd put this at the top. I mean, I was surprised they never continued with this. Obviously, Alter Bridge was still big and doing well, and then Tremonti's solo stuff came out. But Full Circle is awesome. I mean, Scott Stapp sounds really good on this album. The fourth album that I want to mention is Danger Danger's Revolve. This was a comeback of sorts. Ted Poley, he wasn't singing in Danger Danger for a while, and then he came back, and they recorded this album Revolve in about 2009, I think, or 10. And it's an awesome album. It's a killer melodic rock record. Very catchy, very well produced. I think it's probably my favourite Danger Danger, because I'm not a huge fan of the early stuff with Ted or the other singer Paul Lane. He's also good. I mean, they're very good, but this Revolve album is really good. I think anybody who likes melodic rock and hasn't heard this one really needs to hear it. The fifth album is Evil, Infected Nations. Evil deserved more of a profile. I think I don't know what's happened to them now. I'm not sure if they've called it quits or they're just on long hiatus. I haven't heard nothing from them. But they're an awesome band. I mean, very killer thrash metal, great production, awesome. Sixth album is Fate and the 5 album, or V album. This was also a comeback for Fate with a different singer, slightly different style, very catchy still, very heavy melodic hard rock, super production. Again, if you like melodic hard rock, I mean, this album will be right up your street. The vocals might be annoying to some, but I think it's really awesome in this. After this, Fate would release a couple of more albums, I think, and slightly move away from this style to a more classic melodic hard rock style. This one was very modern, very sort of almost aggressive modern hard rock. Very catchy and very underrated. Number 7 is Iron Mask, Hordes of the Brave. This is a Belgian neoclassical band. Very, very catchy band, very cool band, very cool album. I mean, they've released some good albums since, but I don't think they've ever topped Hordes of the Brave. I think it's really catchy. If you like Yngwie Malmsteen or music of that ilk, then you will love Iron Mask. And same with the next album, Impellitteri, Eye of the Hurricane. I love this album. I mean, Impellitteri to me is very underrated in general, but this album in particular is just very catchy, very melodic, very heavy, great vocals from Rob Rock. Awesome. The 9th album on the list is Jag Panzer's Mechanized Warfare. Very cool album again. Nice and heavy melodic riffs. Great vocals from the Tyrant, Harry the Tyrant Conklin. Jag Panzer is an underrated band. They can be at times, like they can be sort of hit and miss a bit, but at times they're a very underrated power metal. I mean, this album in particular. The next album is very unknown. It's a band called Curb Grinder with the album Chronicles of a Dark Machine. It's led by the drummer of Threshold, Johannes, I forget his second name. Johannes, I think that's his name, yeah. This album is awesome. It's like a modern melodic prog metal. Very cool melodies, and he sings very well, surprisingly enough. I think that's an awesome album. It's really, really underrated and literally unknown, virtually unknown. Number 11 is Morifade, Possession of Power. Morifade is a power metal band from Sweden, or was. They've split up now. Their first album came out literally near enough when the first wave of power metal was starting in 96, 97, 98. I think it came out in 99. I think that's a really awesome album. The singer was so good on that. I think it's a really catchy melodic power metal album. If you like power metal, you will love that album. The next album is something different. Number 12 is Napalm Death, Inside the Torn Apart. I think this is an awesome album. This is mid-period Napalm. They're changing style. It's not grindcore anymore. It's sort of like heavy metal, industrial, a little bit groovy. Not much grind, not a lot of blast beats, a lot of catchiness. I mean, I find that album to be really awesome. I mean, the riffing is really catchy. The vocal hooks are there from Barney. I think it's really underrated for me. Number 13 is changing tack again. Place Vendôme, Streets of Fire. This was a project with Michael Kiske and various songwriters. I think Place Vendôme is awesome. I mean, they're just very melodic, very catchy, and it brought Kiske back into the fold of rock and light metal, I would say. I mean, it's not very heavy metal this at all, but he sounds really inspired on this, Kiske. I mean, he fell in love with rock music, I think, with Place Vendôme. Yeah, he hasn't done any more Place Vendôme since, though. I think he's busy back with Halloween now, so he's fully come back into the fold of heavy metal. Number 14 is Rainseed, Welcome to the Theatre. I love this album. This is Tommy Johansson from Sabaton's ex-band. He's now formed Majestica, but Rainseed is an awesome power metal album. It's basically, the songs are all about blockbuster films from Hollywood. I think the melodies are just superb. The keyboard elements are beautifully done. Very catchy stuff. Deserves more fans for power metal. Deserves in the power metal field. Number 15 is also power metal, but completely different. It's Sacred Steel's Bloodlust, a German heavy power metal band. The vocals are a big problem in this band for many. I mean, the singer Gerrit Mutz, he's a very acquired taste. He's very high pitched, often sounds out of tune. But on this album in particular, I think everything worked very well for Sacred Steel. It's a very heavy, pounding power metal album. I mean, it's got good pace, good production, very good energy, and if you can get by Gerrit's very unique vocals, I think you will really enjoy this album. Number 16 is Tarot, Suffer Our Pleasures. Tarot is the Finnish band led by Marko Hietala from Nightwish. I think this album is awesome. Marko, he was in this band way before he joined Nightwish, and this is definitely their best album. It's very melodic, very heavy, very catchy power metal. I mean, it deserves more praise. If you like power metal, I think you will like Tarot, especially this album. Number 17, I'm staying in Scandinavia. I'm going to Sweden. Von Herzen Brothers, New Day Rising. Not many people know Von Herzen Brothers. They're like a brother group. They're like three brothers and one other dude, and they're a group, and they play sort of modern rock, a bit like Alter Bridge, say. Soaring vocals, very melodic, good heavy riffs. They definitely deserve more attention. Von Herzen Brothers. I haven't heard from them for a while, but I've seen them live a couple of times. They're always awesome live. They've got very good songs. Very catchy band. Number 18, going back to power metal. Wuthering Heights, Far From the Madding Crowd. These Austrian guys are really good. I mean, they do epic, symphonic power metal, very good vocals. It's the Astral Doors guy, Niels Patrick Johansson, on this particular album. I think he's left now and he's doing these other things. So I'm not sure who's the singer now in Wuthering Heights, but they've been missing in action for a while as well. So I don't know what's happened to them. But that particular album is awesome, and there's another one they did called Salt, which is really awesome as well. Very, very underrated band, Wuthering Heights. Number 19, I'm coming to the UK. Here we are. A very, very underrated band, an album. Primitai, Rise Again. These boys, they're local boys. I think they're from Reading, just not too far away. They do traditional heavy metal, very good vocals, very good melodies. Definitely deserve a lot more attention. You know, I've been to their gigs like many times. I've seen them. I've even talked to the guys a few times. I know them by sight, and we chat and when we go to the gigs. They're just an awesome band, very melodic, very catchy. I mean, this album in particular, Rise Again, is really catchy. If you like any kind of melodic heavy metal, especially with big epic melodies, vocal melodies, then you just need to listen to Primitai, Rise Again. It's awesome. Number 20, 5 left. We're going to America. Fozzie, All That Remains. Fozzie, I don't know, Chris Jericho, he's a bit... I don't know if metalheads take him serious or not, but to me, this album is awesome. I mean, his vocals are good, the songs are good, the guitar is heavy from Rich Ward from Stuck Mojo. I think it's underrated. Number 21, coming back to the UK. Cats in Space, Scarecrow. It's the UK 70s fixated melodic hard rock band. Very catchy stuff. Very influenced by ELO, Queen, bands like that. Lots of keyboards, great songs, great vocals. Very memorable. They definitely deserve more attention. If you enjoy Queen, ELO, just general 70s melodic hard rock, you will love Cats in Space. Number 22, I'm going Death. Anata, Under a Stone with No Inscription. This was a Swedish death metal band, very underrated. Quite technical, but still very catchy. Not over the top technical like, say, Necrophagist. I don't know what happened to these guys. I think they just, I don't know, they called it quits maybe, or they've just been missing in action a long time. Number 23, staying with death metal, but a famous song, famous album, Death, Spiritual Healing. I've heard a lot of people say this is possibly their least favourite death album, but I just don't get it. I think Spiritual Healing is awesome. I'm not saying it's the best death album, but it's definitely an underrated death album. I think the riffs, Chuck's vocals, the catchiness, the melodies, everything is very memorable. I mean, it deserves more praise than it gets. I've heard often people say, well, it's towards the end of the discography, and possibly so, but it's still really, really good. I mean, I would highly recommend it. 2 left. Cobra and the Lotus, High Priestess. I think these guys are a little bit maligned as well. I mean, I've heard metalheads not take them seriously. I don't know, it's because of Cobra, or I don't know, because of how they were manufactured slightly or something like that. I've heard stories about them, but I think they're really good traditional melodic heavy metal. I mean, at the beginning I wasn't too sure about them, but they've totally won me over now. Cobra's vocals I love. Her voice is just superb. This album in particular is very melodic. I wish the production was a bit better, because the later albums, the 2 current albums which they did, the part 1 and part 2, they're both produced amazingly well. But High Priestess is just an awesome album song-wise. It's really catchy. Classic melodic heavy metal. I mean, if you like melodies, then you're gonna love Cobra. I mean, Her voice, I can see some people might not like it, but to me her voice is awesome. And the last album that is underrated, it's a famous band from America. I've heard people say, I've heard a lot of thrash heads say, well, this is not good, but I think Megadeth's Cryptic Writings really is a solid album. It's got a great mix of all the Megadeth eras. Like, it will give you thrashy songs, it will give you a little melodic song, it will give you a poppier song, it will give you a more technical song sometimes. It will give you a good mix of what everything Megadeth is about. So it deserves a little bit more praise than it actually gets. Okay, that was the 25. I'm not going to run through them now. 25 underrated albums from my collection, with Gravedigger playing in the background. Stay tuned for more.